is a problem in itself. That it took the president 18 months to be able to talk to Nigerians when he had two policies that destroyed the prospect of Nigerians. And after that media chat, I'm more scared for Nigeria.
Hello my bessies, welcome to this channel. It's your girl Susu here. If you are not subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe, support this channel, like this video, comment and share. Thank you.
Bills. President Tinubu, who stated this during a media chat moderated by Dr. Ruben Abati in Lagos, said the tax reforms were necessitated by the need to eliminate colonial-based assumptions in the nation's tax environment. The tax reforms bill has sparked controversy across the country, forcing the House of Representatives to suspend the debate on the bill's earlier fixed for December 3, following mounting pressure from the 19 northern states' governors. Questioned about the economic hardship following the subsidy removal, the president said he had no regret as it had become necessary.
What's contingency? Where is it? We were spending our future. We are spending our generation's fortunes. We were not investing.
But are we
are just deceiving ourselves. That reform is necessary. I could see the smugglers fighting back. That one doesn't affect me. It affects smuggling. Why should you have expenditures that you don't have revenue for? I don't want to question people with 5 limousine type of vehicles on the roads. Well, we should teach management with all our programs. We have to manage our resources within our means. There's no way out that you give out fuel and allow all the entire neighboring countries as Father Christmas. I don't have any regret whatsoever removing the subsidy. It is necessary. We cannot spend our future generations' investment upfront.
But do you think it should have been phased, done in bits and pieces?
It is part of the fear that is unnecessary. Phased, no matter how you cut it or you slice it in segments, you still have to meet the bills. So, cut your code. Strictly to your size. It's what we must manage. Management is the issue. And we have no choice but to pull the handbrake. Otherwise, we are headed for slippery slopes that could be sought in financial disaster for not just for us, but our children and grandchildren. Where is the inheritance? Where is the pathway for prosperity?
You've already prospected into the next fiscal year with the presentation of the budget of restoration, and congratulations on that. But Mr. President, what people are more concerned about is the issue of debt servicing. It exceeds education, health, and infrastructure combined. So a lot of people are wondering, especially critics of your budget, I'm sure you're aware of that, are wondering how you intend to close the budget deficit and balance that against the likelihood of more borrowing in the new year, or rather in 2025, for perhaps capital projects.
Borrowing is not criminal. We have been coming from mismatch of our needs. We have a serious infrastructural deficit. If you don't put money on a long-term matching project, long-term basis, we don't have the short-term to manage a long-term business. It's a mismatch. That's one. Yes, we have headed the wrong road in the past. I don't want to look at that. I want to think about prosperity for our country. I want to think about tomorrow, today. What is the element of this borrowing? Capital project. Our roads are terrible. Our internet is not up to the level that we want as a technology-driven nation. We are still indebted in electricity and deficient in power generation. How do you slice it? You have to take it with the two hands and brace up for a very, very strong, push. It's like a pregnant woman. There's big expectation and big contraction and labor pain. You go through it, the baby is born, you are happy. If that baby is alive, you have the joy of birth. And that is what we are working at. It's not just because we want to inflict pain on anybody. No. It's because we share the same value. We want this country to grow. There's no other way out of it unless we invest in our today prosperity and opportunity.
Okay, Umar Farouk. Mr. President, you voted 4.91 trillion for security in this country. And in the last 5 years, security got 14.5 trillion. But the security problem is still all over the place. Also, has been minimized here and there, but at least the money voted have not, people felt there should be some, satisfactory results based on the funding. When President Buhari took over from President Jonathan, he investigated the service chiefs, and there are a lot of recoveries, abuse of corruption was all over the place. Are you considering to investigate the security chiefs of Muhammadu Buhari and plan and to ensure that the money given for security are judiciously utilized?
For today, I have confidence in my security architecture of the country. It is very, very unfortunate that, 2 decades of wanton killing. I remember when I jumped into the campaign, I had to stop the campaign to pay condolence visits to Maiduguri, Katsina, Kaduna, others. Today, you can still travel the roads. Before now, it was impossible. It takes one incident to mess up an organized environment. It takes one. You cannot say the military are not prepared when the 9th Brigade Battalion was attacked. You can't laugh at your nation because of that. The enemies within and without are watching what you are doing. You have to be prepared 100%, 24 hours of the time to make sure that people are safe. Today, that is not the story any longer. People can leave Kaduna and still go towards Kafancha by road. Well, the road may not be that smooth, and you won't. Gradually, we'll be there. We'll cry about borrowing. Today, I have 60 from 98% thereabout of debt service. I brought it down to 68 thereabout percent. Give credit, please.
All right, the first presidential media chat with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, expertly, I must say, moderated by our very own Dr. Ruben Abati. I know it's not anything new to you, Dr. Abati, but we must always give you your flowers. It's always excellent to see you, taking on that role and doing it in a way that we should learn. All right, Rufai, a few things, a few touch points there in the fact that this day newspaper has on the front page of it 8 key takeaways, but of course, there are more than 8 key takeaways. Mixed reactions have followed, but I think one of the things we must say is that good one that the president has finally acceded to speaking, to have a media chat, have a conversation around the state of the nation, the state of the economy. What's your take on this?
So, tell Dr. Abati, when you see him, that the president calling him Ruby on media chat has implications, and tell him that he knows how to do the needful.
I shall pass the message
I'm not sure he's here, but just let him know.
I shall pass it on.
And Merry Christmas to him.
Even advance.
Ayo, yes, it's a welcome development, but that's a problem in itself. That it took the president 18 months to be able to talk to Nigerians when he had 2 policies that destroyed the prospect of Nigerians. And after that media chat, I'm more scared for Nigeria. President Tinubu fell my hand 100%. Not a total grasp of the issues. He was asked about the subsidy removal. You know what he said? He said there was no way to do it. He forgot that the NNPC paid subsidy up to the start of this year. He forgot that his advisors told him, don't remove subsidy on the very inauguration day. He said it afterwards, but he forgot that. He forgot that they didn't plan for the attendant inflation that was going to come after subsidy removal and the devaluation of the currency. In fact, the question on the devaluation of the currency, he didn't even answer it. He broached over many questions. When he was asked how is he going to bring down inflation, he said agriculture, we are going to improve production. He forgot that a couple of months ago, he told us he's going to cultivate 10 million hectares. What has happened? The other day, as at August, when the harvest period was coming in, that we had some reprieve in agriculture, they said, oh, things were already getting better. Today, food prices at an all-time high again. So he forgot all the things. And he's saying that we're going to give soft agricultural loans and everything. How are you going to do that? We're saying policy statements. As a policy direction must come from the president. The president is the engine room that permeates what he wants to his followers. That's the ministers. We didn't see a lot of that. They're saying agricultural loans. How are you going to give them? What are you going to do? The import waiver program that you said you were going to select some few companies, it wasn't a success. Nobody could implement that. Till today, we didn't even get to the end of that matter. then the total economy, you say borrow is not a bad thing. Yes, it's not a bad thing, but have you seen what you're borrowing the money with? Have you seen the borrowed money? Have you seen what you've been able to do
it's for
with
infrastructure.
Where's the infrastructure? Only coastal road. Mr. Mai said 15 trillion will do all the pre-existing roads. Has the pre-existing roads been done? Didn't we have to haggle over the coastal road? Was that priority? So where's the infrastructure now? Is it the same budget? Last budget cycle that was padded? So where's the infrastructure? Then let's go one step further. I thought this was going to be a time for him to be able to sell the tax reform bills. But he didn't sell. He said, okay, I'm going to look at it, make concessions and everything. I thought it was the time he was going to sell the benefits of the tax reform bill. He was low on that. When he was asked a question about the military, yes, it was a good one to say, okay, I have confidence in the military. But also, you must be able to say that we're going to have a level playing field also of integrity and accountability. The military has been getting a lot in budgetary allocations. In this budget cycle, you're going to get about 4.9 trillion. Don't we expect things to have improved? He said they will not probe the military, so people that die in Okwama will die in vain, Abi. Do you know that some people are still picked up in Okwama and being tortured? And you say we are not going to probe the military? The Okwama scenario, so those ones should go and die. President Tinubu also talked about the sharing of palliatives. Yes, I know he commiserated with people, but we have a general malaise and a general cultural ineptitude as regards it. He was saying that they shared palliative with Bodilon, and nothing of such happened. President Tinubu, with due respect, that's not true. I've passed through Bodilon on nights where they share palliative. People are on the road. If a car loses control, it will hit those people. It's not as well coordinated too. So we have a general malaise of crowd control. Most people just sip onto the road. I understand the fact that he needs to show hope and everything. It's good. It was in good form yesterday. But for me, like I say, hope is not an empirical proposition. We want to be able to see targeted outcomes. And when he said they should show us one minister that's not working, President, with due respect, this is the answer to the question. What has happened to the marine minister? Have we seen anything? I know he's have relations to you. What has happened to the power minister? Band A today has totally collapsed. Those in Band A don't even get lights. You get lights. I am Band A, so the minister just talks from today to Kutu Winji. Apart from few ministers we can mention, in fact, he himself contradicted himself when he was saying that, I won't cut the cabinet. But you are talking about cutting cost of government, and you're saying you're sticking with the cabinet, where a lot of people are moribund there. There are some ministers you don't even know their names. I was in a parley one day where somebody in the information sector was saying, no, we don't even know what some of these ministers are doing.
All right.
And you were talking that we can make more from solid minerals. But you are saying we can do more. Why has Mr. Alake brought the money in? There are numerous things we should be able to tackle as regards this matter.
All right, thank you so much, Rufai. Dr. Bati, do you want to go next or should I go next?
Okay, I speak as a veteran of presidential media chats. I was in the first presidential media chat that President Obasanjo had after the return to civilian rule. Now, I also have interviewed since then every Nigerian president. I manage President Goodluck Jonathan, and I organize presidential media chats on a regular basis. So I speak as somebody who can claim to have very solid experience in the business. And I want to say, to start with, that I think it was a good development that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, decided to have that presidential media chat yesterday. And I was privileged, again, to be the moderator of that chat, which is something at a personal level I consider historic. Now, let me tell you about the atmosphere of it. Nobody asked us to submit questions. President Tinubu did not say, what are you going to discuss? In fact, we did not see him until he walked onto the set. After we have been kept waiting, well, don't let me complain. The president can keep you waiting. You cannot complain. Until he walked onto the set, that was when we asked him questions. And I was impressed with the fact that he was in very good spirits and he was prepared to take on the encounter and he was ready to talk to Nigerians. I think, by way of recommendation, as an ancestor in this business, is something that I would like to recommend to his media team, that they should do it more regularly. This is the first one. Let him do it again and again and talk to Nigerians. Now, this particular material has gone out there, and we have interviewed him. You know, nobody is complaining because nobody asked us to come and give them any questions or anything. And I stake that on my own integrity. Now, going beyond that, you go to the substance in terms of the details. In the course of the interview, I thought one of the things that stood out, apart from what people have been talking about, is a concern about hunger in the land. I asked the president that, look, people are dying. 65 persons have died this period because they are hungry. Do you promise that it will not be like that next year? I asked him again about food security, and he said, oh, we're bringing 2,000, tractors we have support from Saudi Arabia. I went to Brazil and all of that, and that hunger will no longer be a problem. The footnote I would like to add to that is to say that the president, having said that, the states also have to take a cue from that. Because making sure that Nigerians don't go about saying, power, we are hungry, and we are dying either in Anambra or at the Federal Capital Territory, the president also needs to have the support of the states. I know Governor Baku of Niger State is committed to agriculture. In Niger State, agriculture, in fact, is the main thing. Governor Bago of Niger State calls himself the farmer governor. Farmer Bago is called. So he prioritizes agriculture. So that commitment that the president was, expressing yesterday about feeding the people, I think the governors should also pick it up. Apart from Governor Bago, or Farmer Bago, you call him, the governor of Bono, Governor Zulum, is also talking about agriculture. So what we need at that level is about synergy. We do not expect that by this time next year, people will be dying because they are hustling for rice. We don't want a rice economy in this country where people are rushing to collect bags of rice. In fact, at Christmas, to tell you the truth, people used to give 50 kg bags of rice. The only one I have received this year is 20 kg. And it's very small quantity.
I thought 20 kg is expensive. That's what thank the person I gave you.
No. I don't hope that before this season ends, anybody will come and give me 10 kg. Because they are also distributing 10 kg.
5 kg. I got 5 kg.
When I was presidential spokesman, we used to give rice at Christmas to journalists.
It was less than
they will say the thing was so too cheap. The same journalists now, they will be glad to receive 5 kg. You are celebrating 5 kg. You are very lucky.
Yes.
So this is the point we're making. The food insecurity challenge needs to be addressed. As for the other details, the president said, look, tax. Nobody will ever be happy with tax, either during the colonial times or present times. But it was very clear about saying, look, what we're looking at is the future generation. And I like the fact, sitting next to him, that he has settled into the job. He's not, all those things we used to say during the campaign period. No. The man has settled into the job. He knows what he's doing. He spoke with a lot of confidence. In fact, I was shocked that this man, they didn't even prepare him. He just walked onto this set, and he's sounding like this. So that again is something
He's
to...
a city boy.
That again is something to commend. Yeah. And I think that should give him the justification, to do this again and again. Talk to your people. Talk to Nigerians, that I think is the entire spirit of it. Yeah. And he was relaxed. He was... I thought I could rattle him once or twice, but...
He rattled you. He was one that rattled you. Ruby.
No. I've known President Tinubu since olden days. That's just by the way. But I thought the whole idea of a presidential media chat is something that should be sustained.
Yeah.
People like to listen to their president.
Absolutely.
They don't want to listen to some characters issuing press releases.
Yeah.
They want to interact with their president and assess them on the basis of their own opinions. As for the other details, there will be different kinds of perspectives.
Yeah.
I have no problems
Yes.
with those perspectives. Nigerians will react their own way. They will ask questions. They will raise questions. It is for the president to be available every time to talk to us.
Yeah.
Not, we don't want to hear from Mr. Ononuga all the time or from other people who are in the team. We want to hear from our president. And I think they've broken the ice. They should sustain it.
Well, they've broken the ice. They should sustain it. So yesterday, around 6 p.m., Mr. Bayo Ononuga released a statement that there would be a media chat the same evening, only a few hours. So, of course, a lot of people were quite anxious to hear what the president would say in his very first sit-down with journalists from different stations. And like I mentioned earlier on, Arise was very well represented there alongside other media stations. It's refreshing, Dr. Bati, to know that the questions weren't just checked before you asked. So it was very, so that's brilliant. I mean, not with you, but some people would insist that if you're going to speak to the president, they must have some sort of oversight of what would be asked so there will be no surprises. In fact, it's prepared in such a way that he's able to respond, or perhaps they've written keynotes for potential questions. They know some of the things that would come up. Of course, they knew that fuel subsidy was going to come up. They knew that, floating of the Naira would come up. They probably knew that the stampedes would come up. So in some parts, I've watched what the PMQ is in the UK, you would see the Prime Minister actually come with notes. And he's been criticized by the opposition for that. So I'm just saying that to give him kudos for that, that even in the US, the United Kingdom, when presidents or leaders come out to have a conversation, they usually have prepared notes to help guide their thoughts. So in terms of him being able to sit with the press and speak, or journalists, and speak to them off the cuff of his head, fantastic. A lot of people have said he's an orator. He knows how to speak. He's a politician. He's been doing this for years. So speaking is not his weak point. He can have a conversation. However, what then happens without a prepared speech sometimes is that there are certain things that may perhaps have been better managed in the way that it is presented. So let's start from a few things that he said. When he was asked about reforms, he said the reforms were necessary. The smugglers are fighting back. But I beg to differ a little on that note. It's not just the smugglers that are fighting back. I wouldn't use the word fighting back, but the people are groaning. That's the truth. It's not just the smugglers that are feeling the impact of fuel subsidy removal. The people are feeling the impact of such a shock to their system. And that's why I like the question asked by Maupe, where she said, could it have been a phased removal? And then he said he had to just bite the bullet and go ahead with it. So I think it's important for us to face facts that it's not just smugglers. And I like the fact that they addressed that smugglers are now being contained, but the people are suffering. And what he had announced after the removal of fuel subsidy was that there will be some measures put in place to cushion the effect, a sort of safety net, so that people who are worst hit, the most vulnerable in society, the very poor in society, would at least have some relief. That is the big challenge here. The fact that a good policy, but perhaps not properly executed. And hopefully this message can be, communicated to the president that yes, we support fuel subsidy removal, but what we also encourage and promote is a way to ensure that the people do not suffer or die in the process of childbirth, so that there's no one to, they are not actually alive to witness the benefit, the long-term benefit of this removal. On the controversial tax bills, he actually spoke about that. What he refused to speak about was the VAT. The aspect of the VAT. And if you look at it, we've been talking about how there are many beneficial parts of the tax reforms bill. Absolutely. The way the concessions for people who earn a threshold of 1 million naira, the concession for small businesses, the harmonization of taxes so that we are able to eliminate multiple taxations. So a lot of key details here. What has been contentious has been the VAT, which some northern states have kicked against. So he said that it would, for such a thing, he said that Of course, it's going to involve a lot of debate, so he didn't want to comment on it today. But he did say, with regards to the tax reform bills, that he's here to stay, and that we cannot just continue to do what we're doing, yesterday in this economy. We must retool the economy. He even referred to it as a colonial way of looking at the way that the nation is set up. That's how the current tax system works. So I agree with that in terms of the tax reform bill. I'm glad that he's standing by his bill, and that hopefully this tax bill will see the light of day. In other areas, like has been mentioned, people have debated. I thought he could have responded better to the stampede question. It's not just about him being able to organize giveaways in body loan. It's the people. It's how the people are responding. And I asked the question yesterday when we had Dr. Ogochukwu and the Commissioner for Information in Anambra State, that this has been done many years prior. What is different about this year? That's something to, when you analyze a situation, you must look at these parameters, that what is different about this year that's making people so desperate in such a way that there's a stampede killing people, that outreaches that have been held in previous years haven't been this deadly. Those are questions to ask, and if we're going to tell ourselves the truth, we must understand that the economic situation of things have actually hampered. So a number of things to talk about. I thought he could have been more sympathetic with the people, not just saying that people must better organize themselves. That's a fact, but it can be better, communicated. All in all,
he commiserated with the
he did at the beginning.
Families that loved,
he did at the beginning.
Their loved ones.
Yeah, you commiserated with him first, and then he responded to you. He responded to you. But I'm saying when the question was asked to him directly about the stampede, he just said, "Oh, people should better organize themselves." I thought there could have been a more sensitive approach to that response. But all in all has been said. Good first attempts. We're looking for more engagement, more conversations with the president, and hopefully more explanations to some of the policy directions his administration has taken.